Following the expiration of local government chairmen's tenure in Rivers State, youths in Degema and Asari-Toru local government areas occupied their council headquarters in protest. The chairman, supported by the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, cited the law allowing a 6-month tenure extension. This law, passed by lawmakers loyal to Minister Nyesom Wike, was challenged by Governor Similaye Fubara, who warned the chairman to leave office. Despite a court ruling nullifying the extension, chairman vowed to stay. Security presence increased, especially in Port Harcourt and Obiakpo, to prevent unrest. The situation remains tense as youths demand the chairman leave and await the governor's appointment of caretaker committees. Let me start with you. Chuba, what is your take with respect to this building tension?
Permit me to just take 30 seconds to clear the air concerning what...
I wouldn't want us to go back.
No, we're not going back to the story. I want to say something. Listen, when a group comes to applaud a person on the job and they stay on that matter, people like us will jump on it because that is our job, to make sure that the public get the right opinion or right information. But when the group comes to tie it to the peace of River State, to the developmental strides of President Tinubu, then it completely causes a disconnect for the people of persons like us who have been able to be the carrier through this platform. Now, on this issue, very straightforward.
Hold on, yeah. Chuba. When you say when the group ties it to the administration of Tinubu, if I may ask you, is the FCT minister not an appointee of the president? Isn't the job leaked to the government? If the FCT minister is performing abysmally, you, Chuba, would also be seated here to also fault the president for appointing someone whose performance is below par. So when you say tying it to the Tinubu administration,
yeah.
I find it
difficult to understand.
I find it funny, but that was hold on, okay. Chuba. Let's move on to this story. I really do not want us to go back. The time for that story is gone. But I needed to correct that impression. It's wrong.
Okay.
Please
if
go on.
If you consider it wrong, I would want you to. I think the audience can equally be their own judges. The truth is, it's your job, and you have to do it. Like I would do mine. Concerning this issue of the tenure elongation or expiration, as it were, it clearly shows you the kind of people that have been saddled or privileged to have had the opportunity of sitting in our offices in the name of managing them. It is a painful and a pitiable state we have found ourselves. We all saw this noise, we saw these problems coming, but for one reason or the other, a lot of people felt like we are trying to even make it happen now, that some people were hitting the polity too quickly, whereas you knew that this day was coming. When you saw the Martin and Mewele faction of the House of Assembly pushing in the manner it was pushing to ensure that that bill was passed in the way it was passed against all odds, and people talk about someone's capacity to ensure that the legislature is working freely, you begin to ask yourself, on what parameters does our conscience and our moralities lie? Today it has happened this way, and we are playing with it. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I have said it and I keep saying it, camera is a word. With my face very clear to the camera, I've said over and over again, as I will keep reiterating, nobody has a monopoly of anything. The fact that people are in offices today, it will always come to an end. And at that point in time, you understand that there are some people, because even in the House of Saul, there was the next people that did not die. There are some people who will still come and sit on that table. Upon that strength, people should understand that nothing lasts forever. So the little time you have to do your bidding, you must understand that posterity matters a great deal. What you do with your office and how you go about it is key. We are playing with so much in River State. And Nigeria, by extension, we forget the pivotal position of the River State as regards to the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian state. And so much, to a large extent, we are making it look like it's nothing. Nothing is happening. We can manage it. Something we can all manage. When the thing gets to Uhuru for everybody, free for all, to take your actions, let's confirm whose strength is stronger.
I must believe often and often I will always say, the people whose voice will be loudest. And at this point in time, I think maturity, good reasoning, and if there is anything called the vetoes of a governor or the powers of a president to ensure that what is considered the people's will should at this point in time be on the front burner when they are managing their negotiations. Because some cases are in court, there's a clear-cut judgment. It was not something that you say, oh, there's a clear-cut judgment saying that the act upon which the chairman has wanted to sit on is completely in variance with the constitution of this country.
Are you aware there was an appeal to that?
Now, that's what I'm saying. An appeal has been made. And what was the judgment of the appeal? Upon the strength of the judgment of the appeal, you ask yourself, where are we going to? Because we are in a state where...
What was the judgment of the appeal?
I'm going somewhere. We are in a state where the judiciary is almost becoming our biggest problem. Why? Because whether we agree or not, our voices might be small. The appointment of judges, in as much as it continues to come from political stakeholders, will continue to have more problems. As it is today, when a court has made a ruling, another court of coordinate jurisdiction makes an appeal, you ask yourself, which judge should be lesser? At the end of the day, the next court that should take the responsibility, like were postulated to the NBA while they had their conference, was very simple and clear. It is high time people make these disparities very, very distinct. People should understand their jurisdictions, and when issues of this nature come up, there should be penalties and fines. But until we start to take things seriously, we'll be tilting this country. There are a lot of countries who are enjoying what we consider democracy today, but they are enjoying it on the hours of very strong, funny actions. Let me not use the phrase. And if we do not take our time carefully, we might be putting River State on that path in no distance time. It is better and wisest for people, everybody that wants to call themselves or calls themselves any level of leaders, to be able to sit on the round table, know what is conscientiously correct, and leave the grandstanding and the power tussle. And let's see how we can forge a way forward. Because on this route we are towing down, you can imagine the LML local government chairman making the statement, he's saying, people that will come to this council will meet their forefathers earlier than expected. Listen, there are people that will not take such statements lightly because they believe that they equally have the same one life and capacities, even bigger than you think you do have, because of an appointment or an office that has been given to you by benevolence of nature.
All right, Mr. Chuba, what was the appeal? What was the outcome of the appeal?
The appeal of the
you're talking about the outcome. Okay. When you were making your statements, with regards to the Amebule faction local government law number 3, and you said there was a court order setting it aside. That was the order of Justice Wale, if you recall. And subsequently, that particular court order was appealed. And unlike what you said, not by a court of sister jurisdiction, it was at the High Court. So the High Court also gave the order.
Don't be offended. Sorry, don't be offended. You said not a court of sister jurisdiction.
When Justice
the court headed by Justice Wale, or what court was that?
When Justice Wale's court is a state high court.
Okay.
Now, it was appealed at the appeal court. That's why it's called an appeal.
Sorry, don't be offended.
So what was the outcome of
don't
that?
Don't be offended, please, so that you can equally educate me and educate the audience. The appeal that was made by the chairman or the Amewole faction, where did they go and appeal the case? At the appeal court or an high court in Abuja?
I said an appeal court, not a high court.
I am not privy to that.
You are not privy.
I'm not
Probably
privy to
that could be why you said what you said, but it's fair enough. Now, Mr. George.
Okay, yeah, for me, I want to say that peace is priceless. What is actually happening in River State today should not, happen in a state where people who understand what is needed to be done, are existing. It is quite shameful. And I must say that the governor of River State, Sir Simini Alayi Fubara, is one of the reasons why what is happening today is happening. As a governor, he knows that there's a ruling by the Supreme Court that anything that has to do with caretaker committee chairman is illegal. And they had an ample time to conduct election into the offices of the local government chairman and the councillors that will, represent various wards. What he would have done, because the law empowers him to constitute, a Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission and also fund them to conduct election. He had the time. The assembly equally told him of that. But because he had that, intention of, appointing the caretaker committee, and that is one of the reasons that led to some of the problems you see happening in this state today. He refused deliberately, waiting for this day. And we're talking about leaders in this state. My brother here is talking about the will of the people. As at that time, does he mean that the governor never knew that today will come, even when he was written to conduct election? The finance, the funding, everything is there. All he needed was just to constitute the body, fund them, and give them the mandate to run the election. By now, we would have had an election like 3 months ago. Winners would have emerged, are waiting to take over from those who will be outgoing today. But he refused deliberately and putting us in the position we are. I've once said that if anything happened in Rivers State, the governor should be held responsible. Don't also forget that in the last 3 to 4 months, he has continually seized the allocation of this elected chairman. Allocation of this elected chairman, the council. The men have refused, the man has refused to give them their money and all of that. Money that is meant for development. Some of them have already embarked on projects. Because of the seizure of that money, they could not complete it. So what you see happening here today is quite shameful. There is blame from both parties that once tenure has expired, he has refused to go. He's also laying claim to the law that was made by Assembly. Probably a law that was made by Assembly and set aside by a High Court. Good. And then subsequently appealed by Amoeble and which is yet to be given. And an order was given with respect to that order. Okay. And the order was stay execution. Okay. Do you understand? So with regards to that, one would question, like any other person would, who is following this thing properly, one would question, if court has given an order, why can't it be obeyed? Isn't it the same thing that has been playing out in Kano Emirate? That's the same thing that has been playing out even among the state high courts and federal high courts as well. Orders and counter orders from sister court of jurisdiction. Now, if a higher court, if an appeal has been made to a higher court and there was a ruling pending termination of the suit on ground, why can't it be obeyed? If you would recall again, Mr. George, there was also a recent ruling with respect to the Okojombo faction and all what. A ruling virtually made by a 3-man panel of the appeal court also said stay execution. Even though the Amoeble faction was praying to be reinstated, the appeal court said stay execution for the sake of peace in Rivers State. And so far, I don't think anybody here can say that they have seen after that order by an appeal court, Amoeble and his faction has sat on any plenary. They stayed execution. The question is, why can't the governor follow the law as well? Why can't these different parties respect the judicature? Has the judicature been ridiculed to a point, or has the judicature ridiculed itself to a point that their orders are no longer holds weight by politicians? Tioma, that is the point I'm trying to make. That what you see happening here today is partly the fault of the governor. He had every opportunity to ensure that this day never came. But he deliberately, even when the matter was being discussed, he deliberately, like you said, from what is going on now, it's obvious that the man has refused, to respect the position of the court. And my brother here said, no one person has the monopoly of violence. If the governor feels he cannot respect, the decision of the court, then I think those who are also staying put we want to say whatever that will happen tomorrow, let it happen today.
He was making reference to the comment by, I think, the LMA local government chairman. That's the LMA local government chairman yesterday. I watched that.
Okay.
It was on social media, where he said he actually openly dared the people that will come or attempt to occupy his local government like they have done.
Again, let me say something
and he
here.
said that if they dare it, his claim is that he's being backed up by a law. And if they dare it, that in his language, like Chuba quoted, they will meet their ancestors earlier than expected. And he repeated that statement for emphasis, earlier than expected. Now, in face of this crisis, these are statements that has the capacity of not the politics already heated. It has the capacity of pushing this. We are teetering on a brink already. It has the capacity of pushing.
I agree with you. We must do everything possible.
Are we heading to state of emergency at this point?
That is where, if you look at it critically, if it is not managed properly, that may be where this will lead to. Because if this other faction, this other group feels that these people do not have the monopoly of violence to do anything, and there's a clash somewhere, this may lead to death. It may lead to destruction. And that is where the security agent, the president will have to wade in. But my brother here said...
You think the president has clearly said that with respect to River State crisis, he's indifferent. You remember he waded in and probably...
It still boils down to the governor now respecting some of the political solutions.
We are controversial. You know, it was greatly contested by a lot of people. And would the president want to wade in again? Probably he will allow the law to take its full course.
That means we are heading towards the state of emergency. Because if those whose tenure had ended and who feel that they are being backed by law for extension of 6 months have refused to leave the council, and those who feel it is their turn, to invade the council by force, of course there will be a clash. And when this clash comes, it may lead to death, it may lead to destruction, and the president of the nation cannot sit back, fold his arms. He has the instrumentality of law to invoke the state of emergency. And when that happens, even the governor, who has refused to do what he was supposed to do to save the day, will also be engulfed.
All right.
So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, really.
All
I
right.
never expected this from the governor of a state. He had every opportunity to conduct the election, but now would have had a seamless transition.